Hey, welcome into the Stinkin Truth Podcast alongside Mike Evans. I am Mark Schlereth. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Mike, how are you, buddy?
I'm great. We got a lot of news. The NFL never disappoints with the news cycle. So what do you know? Big Dallas Cowboy trade with the Steelers. George Pickens, the very talented but somewhat controversial wide receiver, going from Pittsburgh to Dallas. What's your reaction to that move?
Well, hey, listen, George Pickens is one of those guys. I know he's mercurial, right? And he's a guy that's going to get into fights and get fined. We put a fine list on television the other day. It's a mile long of the NFL fines against him. That doesn't include the team fines against him. And there is this kind of thought process if you're Pittsburgh, because, you went out and got DK Metcalf, and DK Metcalf's big time player, but you're thinking if we had DK Metcalf and George Pickens on either side of one another, like what a combination that would be. But there does come this time in life when you are so sick of somebody's shit that you're just like, I cannot deal with this dude for a second longer. Now, you flip that over to the Dallas Cowboys side of things. They gave up a third rounder, not even this year, a third rounder next draft, and swap of late round picks. And the one thing that you think about with Dallas is with CeeDee Lamb on one side, if you're talking about coverage in general, so you have two safeties, right? One safety goes over to the top to help cover CeeDee Lamb. The other safety goes in the middle of the field, which means what? Your other wide receiver down here on the end or outside the numbers, he's got one-on-one coverage with that corner out there. And so automatically you think, man, we get one of the best 50-50 go ball guys in football, because George Pickens, unbelievable when it comes to catch the ball, one-handed catches, like his ability to contort his body and make a play on the football.
Russell Wilson looked like a completely different quarterback with George Pickens and without.
Yeah, he's incredible that way. You just have to deal with the issues. Now, here's what I will say. Like, he came out and said, hey, man, I'm not even looking for an extension. I want to prove my worth. I'm going to play it out. I'm going to prove my worth. And so, like, if you get a motivated Pickens who says, I don't even want to be weighed down with the potential of a new contract, I just want an opportunity to go out here and prove to everybody in Pittsburgh and the National Football League that I can be mature and that I can do these things and that I can be that guy, and I'm going to earn that contract. Like, if that truly is what he says he is, then that's great. Now, I will say this. I've watched plenty of film of George Pickens when he's not a primary, and that dude was oftentimes a DOG dog. And I'm not talking about a DAWG. I'm not talking about the kind of guy you want. We talk about it all the time, Mike, for the love of the great game routes. Yep. When you're saying, hey, man, we need you to run this shallow cross. We need you to do this like your life depends upon it. So you draw that coverage down so we can get somebody over the top on the basic. Like, we want to create that high-low kind of read, and we need you like busting your ass across the formation to get to the other side because we're running the basic from the opposite side, right? So we need you across there. And here he is just lumbering off the ball like no big deal. And then guess what? The linebacker on that side doesn't get sucked up, and he can play that basic. And ultimately, the whole thing goes to pot, right? And that's the concern you have. Will you run those secondary routes like your life depends upon it? Because that's how the offense operates. That's when we have great success. Will he be happy if CeeDee Lamb gets 12 targets and he gets 3? Is he going to be one of those guys that happens a couple times and now he becomes disgruntled? He pisses and moans and talks about, like, oh my gosh, I was just running sprints out there, sprints, for crying out loud. We shall see. But at least at the beginning here, it sounds like he is totally in. And he's not playing for this hard. He doesn't need this new contract. He can go out and prove people wrong.
So, final analysis, he's a talent is worth the trouble type guy, or talent is worth the potential trouble type guy.
Absolutely. And what do you do with guys like this, Mike? Like, guys like this usually don't create issues when they're playing for something. And we have seen it time and time again. Like, there's news out there right now that Stephon Diggs with New England has been like the poster child for great teammates. Austin Hooper, their tight end, came out and said, man, like this guy's just coming off of an ACL. And I mean, I wish that quickness, that explosiveness, that change of direction, it's all there. And he's been this unbelievable teammate, right? Same thing in Houston last year.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was a report, he's just been such a pain in the ass. Like the Buffalo Bills got rid of him. Like he's still catching 100 balls a year, and the Bills go, we would rather go with unproven guys than continue to put up with this guy, right? And the Minnesota Vikings, he's a Pro Bowl player for the Minnesota Vikings. They got so sick of having to put up with his crap, right? And I've had people talk to me that coach for Minnesota said, man, we had to go pick him up at his house to get him to the facility because he would sleep through meetings, and he would like, hey man, like, don't hold me accountable. I was told that verbatim. Right. So like there was a time, and it lines up, right? Because you don't get rid of Pro Bowl players unless they're a giant pain in the ass. Like, hey man, I know he's productive, but the problems don't outweigh the production for us anymore. We're sick of his crap. Then Buffalo, hey man, we'll eat $30-some-odd million to move his ass, to ship his ass. He's on his best behavior in Houston because he's playing for a contract. He's on his best behavior now in New England. So for a year or two, you're going to get his best behavior. Eventually, it's been my experience in the NFL that those guys can do it for a year, but eventually who they truly are come to the forefront.
Well, that was going to be my next question then when it comes to George Pickens, because while you're talking about the upside that Pickens could bring to Dallas, what about the team that knows him best, Pittsburgh, deciding that maybe the talent wasn't worth the trouble? I mean, does that send up any kind of red flag that the team that knew him best, and in this case, Pittsburgh, a team that tends to do things more right than wrong, was willing to move on?
Of course it sends up a red flag, but again, you get a guy that's playing for a contract, you'll get a guy probably on his best behavior. Now, for Dallas, they're going to have to decide, is that who he truly is, or will he revert back to the issues that he had when he was with Pittsburgh, getting fined and all these things? So, I mean, money does not solve problems. It exacerbates problems. And so when you have, like, you're going to be who you are. I've always kind of adhered to the philosophy of you're either intrinsically motivated or extrinsically motivated. And if you're intrinsically motivated, man, you're going to bust your ass regardless of how much money you're getting paid, because that's what you do. You're in it for the competition. It's nice to get paid. It's nice to make a lot of money. But if you're in it for the right reasons, well, then guess what? I don't have to worry about paying you. If you're in it for the wrong reasons, if you're one of those guys, remember when what was it, Albert Hainsworth that got paid, and then all of a sudden he just shut it down and quit playing? You got to know what a guy is. And if a guy's going to be a problem child once he gets paid, like a lot of guys will be on their best behavior and bust their ass when they're looking for that contract. You have to make a decision as an organization. Is he going to be that same guy once he gets paid, or all of a sudden is he going to become sated by that success, by that payment? So that's something you're going to have to ask yourself if you're Dallas. The good news is it doesn't look like he wants to get paid right away. Like he wants to prove that he's worth it. So Dallas may just have this as a one-year rental and go, hey, man, knock yourself out. Go get paid somewhere else.
Well, good luck to George Pickens in Dallas. Speaking of the Steelers, what's going on? Aaron Rodgers, Steelers, is this going to happen or not? Come on, we're sick of waiting.
Come on, there's a behind closed doors secret handshake deal, right?
They would, it's got to be, right?
Well, I mean, follow the tea leaves. There was a report yesterday that one Alan Lazard, the Steelers are thinking about, I think it's trading for, is Alan Lazard still under contract with the Jets? I don't know whether he's in a contract or whether he's not. Like, it'll cost you like 3 Gatorades and two sets of Tupperware to get him. I think it's like, all right, I'll tell you what we'll do. If it's a trade thing, seriously, like, what are we going to trade? We're going to trade you some dirty gym shorts.
Yeah.
And, and like I said, 3 Gatorades. All right, done. Alan Lazard, the talk is that he's potentially, or the Steelers are potentially reaching out about signing Alan Lazard. So if you follow the tea leaves, if Alan Lazard goes to the Steelers or they're talking to Alan Lazard, there's only one person's behind that, and that's Aaron Rodgers, because Alan Lazard is Aaron's whoopee. I mean, he had 6 touchdowns last year for the Jets. I believe it was 6, but he's his whoopee. Like, Aaron always wants a couple of his guys to come along with him. So that would be my number one. Maybe that'd be my number 2 read. My number 1 read on the situation is anybody else asking about Aaron? Like, is anybody else negotiating or talking to? Did he sneak into did he sneak into somebody else's camp in a Chevy Malibu with sunglasses on? No. That's how he showed up to the Steelers camp, like incognito in a Chevy Malibu, like to throw off the scent of the intrepid reporters that are just dogging it out there day and night, seeing who's coming into the Pittsburgh Steelers facility. So nobody else seems to be interested in Aaron Rodgers, and Alan Lazard all of a sudden is drawing interest from the Pittsburgh Steelers. That says to me one thing: Aaron Rodgers will sign in Pittsburgh. When, I don't know.
At this stage of his career, should Aaron Rodgers be entitled to bringing his guys, telling a franchise like the Steelers, go get my guy? Should he still have that kind of juice?
When Mason Rudolph is the answer, yes, he still has that juice. No offense, Mason. I love you, man.
What's Jordy Nelson doing? Huh? Yeah, hey, let's go. Bring them all. Bring back the gang.
Where is Randall Cobb? He's got to be around here somewhere.
Right.
Like you shouldn't have it, but he does because, he wants, a couple pieces of comfort there. It's like, it's like the movie Office Space. You don't have to wear 16 pieces of flair, but I suggest, he needs his 16 pieces of flair so he feels good. So, the Pittsburgh Steelers will accommodate his 16 pieces of flair request, and they'll give it to him. And then we'll see exactly what he is and what he becomes. I will say this, man. I did a game late in the season last year for the Jets, game against Jacksonville, and leading up to that game, watching and breaking down 3 games of film, Aaron can still throw it as well as just about anybody in football. I mean, that dude, arm talent wise and just accuracy, all that stuff, man, he's still got something to him. Now the Jets, like I tend to be that guy that says, okay, slow your roll. Like when people say he's washed, he's 40, he can't play anymore, blah, blah, blah. I hear all that.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what's that? But let me just tell you, like, that dude can still sling it.
Yeah.
And here's my one thing that gives me pause. The Jets are such a train wreck of an organization. Yeah. I don't know that anybody can go there and not have their career just be derailed, like whether you're coaching or playing. Like, I don't know that owner, and the things that owner does, like they're just so like diametrically opposed to winning that I don't know that anybody can go to the Jets and have success. So God bless you. I hope it works out, but I do think Aaron Rodgers is still got a year or two of really good football.
Okay. Good news there for Steeler fans. It feels like all these topics here are all kind of woven and connected together. Let's talk about a former Steeler for a time quarterback, Justin Fields, who's now with the Jets. Tyrod Taylor, who for a while there was the only quarterback that the Jets had, and Tyrod was thinking, hey, I might get a chance to be a starter. But now with the arrival of Justin Fields, Tyrod Taylor has thrown his full support behind Justin Fields. You've had sharp comments about Justin Fields throughout the course of his career. Where are you now with Justin Fields as he makes yet another stop in his young NFL career?
Yeah, Justin's interesting, and I've done, when he was with Chicago, I've done a bunch of Chicago games, and so I've sat down and talked with him, and he is a engaging guy. Like, his teammates love him, man, from a leadership standpoint, and just one of the dudes, like just a dude. He's got that factor to him, so the guys love playing with him. And he's very forthright in what he is and what he isn't, and like what he needs to improve on. You know, the guy that concerns me is the guy that's got nothing to work on.
Right.
You know, that guy that comes out and is just basically like, my game is good. And I described in a broadcast once about watching tape on Justin Fields. I said, watching tape on Justin Fields is a lot like my golf game. I will shank the ball all over the place. It'll be absolutely god awful. You'll think, oh my gosh, this guy has not one skill that is required to play this game. And then all of a sudden I'll stand up on the 18th tee box and I'll pipe a 325-yard drive straight ass down the middle. And it'll be like, oh my God, I can really play. And you'll watch Fields throw the ball. And there are times where you ask yourself, are you sure you're right-handed? Like, this is this bad. And then he will rip something down the seam, you know, over the top of a linebacker, stretched out fingers in front of a safety right on the nuts. And the receiver will catch it in full stride and bam, gone. And you'll be like, damn, where did that come from? And it's like in my golf game, like, where did that drive come from? Where did that throw come from?
Folks, I can attest.
So here's what I'll tell you. If you are operating that offense, I think a couple of things you have to understand. One, and straight from Dan Campbell, doing a game between Detroit and between Chicago when Justin Fields was in Chicago. That dude, Dan Campbell saying about Justin Fields, keeps me up at night. That dude is frightening as an athlete. Absolutely unbelievable, because you cannot defend him in the run game. So when you build this offense, Mike, you have to build an offense that accentuates his strengths and mitigates his weaknesses. And you've got to be on. I think he's honest enough to understand it. Like, he's like, the conversations I've had with him, he's honest about his game. And so you have to build the offense to essentially, like I said, accentuate those strengths and mitigate those weaknesses. And so if you have him dropping back in full read, you know, drop back pass, you're probably not going to be great. But when you have him run the football, set up the RPO game, which the RPO game is interesting because it really becomes a one read offense, right? So you're flagging that ball out there and you're reading that defensive end, or you're reading that defensive end in the run game. So when you do the same thing in the passing game, you're reading that linebacker or that safety. And if that guy sucks up to grab the run, man, you just throw it behind his head, you know, on that little glance route. So you're really reading one thing. And then you set up enough play pass, which is deep drop back with extra protection. Like Justin Fields, the one thing I asked him, like, what is it about your game that you know is threatening? And he'll tell you in the passing game, like, obviously his athleticism, his ability to run the ball and all that stuff with his legs, right? And when things break down to make plays, he'll still take a lot of sacks because that's what quarterbacks who scramble around do a lot. They take a lot of sacks. But he'll say, I'm as good a deep ball thrower as anybody.
Yeah.
And he, damn it, he is. So I just think you come into this thing, Mike, with the understanding of these are his strengths. I always say this about coaches, like, put a guy in a position to fail in the end. I don't care what it is, whether it's blocking a guy that you can't block. Like, you line me up against Aaron Donald and say, hey man, we're going to turn protection the opposite way. You're one-on-one with Aaron Donald the whole game. Guess what? I'm getting my ass kicked and we're going to lose. So, you know, if you ask him to play in a strictly drop back offense, you're going to lose because that's not who he is. Right. So I always say this, put a guy in a position to fail. Don't be surprised when he fails because you're the dumbass that put him in that position.
As you look at Fields, because you're kind of laying out a blueprint how he can be a good quarterback for the Jets if you play to his strengths. Fill in the blank here for me. Justin Fields can become an elite quarterback if he improved in blank?
Progression throws. If he improved, and he has improved dramatically in that part of his game, but he has got to be, you've got to be good at your progression throws, getting through your progressions quickly, and then being accurate. And accuracy wanes or fails. Really, the accuracy is not there at times because you're late through progressions.
Right.
And anytime you're late, and this is a baseball guy, when you're late, it speeds you up. Like you're like, oh shoot, I'm twitchy,
Right,
oh shit,
right.
I'm late. So when you speed up, mechanically you break down.
Yeah.
And so the great quarterbacks are on time and just mechanically, they stay behind the ball. And when you stay behind the ball, what I mean by staying behind the ball is you're not flailing all over the place. So your energy is going through the football out your pointer finger, right?
Yep.
And whoom, it's on people. And that's how that to me is how you stay on target. You got to be on time, and to be on time, I talk about this all the time. You got to know what you're looking at.
One more quarterback topic, sort of. Tyreek Hill was doing a interview, and he was asked to name his top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. And in no particular order, he said Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, and
Tua.
Baker Mayfield.
Uh-oh.
Instant drama. Tyreek Hill left Tua off his list.
Right. And when he left Kansas City to Miami, don't you remember him saying there's no better anticipatory thrower,
right.
deep ball. There's no better deep ball thrower than Tua. Remember that he said that. And now, boy, listen,
trouble in paradise.
Somebody is trying to leave Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody wants out of Miami.
Somebody wants to go to Tampa?
Go to Tampa, get away from Miami, get away from yes. He wants out, right? There's already been reports of him wanting out or them hey man, Tyreek wants out. That's how I read it. Do you read it? Is there any other way to read that?
You can't, right? You can't.
You don't just think that was like an oversight. Like, oh shoot, I forgot my own guy.
Right. Or it's like you being asked, Mark Schlereth, who are the 5 greatest guards in NFL history? Of course you want to put yourself on the list, but that would look a little conceited. So you come up with 5 other people not named you, right? Is that kind of what we're doing here with Tyreek Hill or
Jerry Kramer?
Yeah.
University of Idaho. John Hanna.
Hog Hanna. Yep.
Beast. Bruce Matthews. Let's see. Mike Upati, another Idaho guy.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't put Mike in there, but Mike, I love you. Yeah. Who else? I could come up with a couple other Hall of Famers, but I wouldn't put Mike. No. The landlord, Larry Allen.
Oh,
dude, he owned the space between tackle and center. That was his. We used to joke around all the time, and it was 100% true when I was playing. Guys would show up before they played the Cowboys, defensive tackles with Larry Allen flu.
Yeah.
I don't want to play this guy. Yeah. Larry Allen, pound for pound, and you can quote me on this, pound for pound, the greatest athlete ever to play in the National Football League.
Whoa. Okay, elaborate.
Well, you've seen the video of him chasing down a linebacker, gets an interception, right, at 340 pounds. You've seen that, right?
Yeah.
Stand flat-footed underneath a hoop and slam dunk. Easy. And then bench press 700 pounds. Pound for pound, the greatest athlete in the history of the National Football League, Larry Allen.
And who says offensive linemen aren't skill position guys, huh?
Nobody on this show.
Nobody
Because
on
if
this
you
show.
say it on this show, you get fired.
I know better.
You get fired from a job you don't get paid for.
It's not you. Checks in the mail. So, all right,
one of these days, Mike.
One of these days,
if you listeners would start subscribing and, take care of us so I could sell this freaking show, then boom.
Come on. This space to rent. Look at the size of this forehead. You could put your ad right across my forehead during the course of the podcast.
I could just see that right there. FanDuel or DraftKings.
This space for rent, right?
Yeah.
Let's go. Your name up here. So Tyreek Hill. So if you had to, is Tyreek Hill, by the way, is he still Tyreek Hill? Or are we seeing a guy who's okay?
No,
he's still legit.
Yeah, he still can pick him up and put him down, man. Yeah. I mean, that dude can still run like the wind. Matter of fact, I did, what game did I do? I think it was Miami, Washington was it Miami, Washington last year? Dude, he ran by DBs like they were standing still. Like that dude can flat fly. It was Tua's return.
Yeah.
Tua came back after a 5-week hiatus. And, let me just tell you, man.
Oof. So, okay, for the Dolphin fans out there, Tua, let's just finish up with Tua. Is Tua, is he in that quarterback purgatory where he's probably never going to be the guy? Confetti's not going to come raining down on his head, but man, he's better than most alternatives of trying to go back out there and find another franchise quarterback. Are you kind of stuck with a guy like Tua?
So you're going to have to
good, but not good enough to be great.
Is Tua good enough to win playoff games and to win? Yes. Yeah. I mean, Tua's a good player, and he really is from a window anticipatory window throw guy. He's, I would argue, as good as anybody, if not best in the league. Like when it comes to just putting it in an area, it's almost like, you're getting zone defense. You just throw it to a spot and let the guys run to it. He is phenomenal, just phenomenal. Is he good enough to hoist a team on his back and carry? No, but there are very few who are, Mike. There are very few Josh Allen's out there. We could say Josh Allen, Lamar, but how many championships have they won? None. So there are very few who are like so you're telling me that if Tua played for the Philadelphia Eagles, he could win a championship?
I was just going to go there. I was going to ask you that. Yeah.
Yeah. Come on.
Right.
So you put that kind of power football team around him, then certainly Tua could lead a team to a championship. So I really like Tua. Obviously, I think the biggest concern, obviously, is the head injury issues and all that kind of stuff. But I'm not as down on Tua as a lot of people are. I think Tua is pretty damn good. And like I said, his ability to throw it kind of where he wants it in rhythm is really good. Now, when it gets dirty, when the pocket gets dirty, and not very good. Mm-hmm. Not very good. But a clean pocket in rhythm, he's unbelievably accurate. And man, put it in a place where a guy can, run to it, catch it, and yards after catch. He's exceptional at that stuff. Dirty pocket stuff, you're going to lose.
Boy, what's your problem with Jalen Hurts, man? Of all the people to say, he could go into Philadelphia and do just fine, you bring up Tua again. You don't think Tua's kind of tired of? You don't think Jalen's kind of tired of Tua coming in and taking his? Why'd you have to go there? Why'd you have to bring that up?
Didn't even think about back to the Alabama days, right?
I mean, this could be sensitive. This could get back to Jalen, man, and awkward feeling.
And Jalen could walk into a meeting and stoically stare at me.
Mm-hmm.
Like that hasn't happened before. By the way, and this is a true story. I made Jalen Hurts. This might be as I go down my broadcasting career, as it goes down in flames. I actually in a meeting got Jalen Hurts to smile.
No, you didn't.
I did. The greatest Jalen Hurts story, though, is I'm calling a Philadelphia-San Francisco game. And this is when Jalen Hurts is, like, it might have been his first year of really starting, right? So I asked him to explain the RPO game to me. How's it work? Like, explain to me kind of what your reads are as you're going through the RPO game. And here he is, Mike, just stoically looking at me. He goes, no. Right? We're in a production meeting. And so I'm thinking, did I not ask the question correctly? Like, right? Did he not understand? So I go back. No. Okay. Let me rephrase that.
Yeah.
And I said, explain to me kind of what your read is and all that stuff. And he looked at me again, like he doesn't crack a smile. The whole time he's just looking at me and goes, no. And I'm like, I don't, and I'm looking at the PR staff and I'm like, I don't get it. And he goes, the head coach of the other team is your cousin. And I'm not telling you anything. And I'm like, no, Kyle Shanahan is not my cousin. I go, I played for his father. Like, I know him. Like, yeah. Nope, not telling you a thing.
Wow.
Dead serious, man. He was giving me nothing. He's like, you work for the enemy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really funny. It was great.
How'd you make him smile?
I said this was like a year later, and I'm calling the first game of the season in Detroit. And the Philadelphia ended up losing that game. It was like 44 or 42 or something. It was some crazy shootout. And I can't remember what I asked, but I said something to him that kind of made him giggle a little bit, and he showed his teeth and I was like, ah, I can't even remember what I said, something stupid.
Yeah.
And, and so, yeah, anyhow, right. I love Jalen Hurts. He's a unbelievably stoic, comes from a coaching. His dad was a coach and he is unbelievably respectful. And I really like him. He's really good egg.
Well, keep that in mind the next time you want to replace him again with Tua. So, No,
I'm not replacing. I'm saying I think Tua could win a Super Bowl there.
I know. I'm giving you a hard time.
If Nick Saban's the coach, he'd probably already replaced him.
Ooh. What? Hey, before we wrap this up, do you want to go promote your OnlyFans account?
Yes, I have an No, I don't. Top fans.
Top fans.
Top fans. No.
Sorry.
It's just like OnlyFans, only you're not going to see my hoo-ha. My hoo-ha stays wrapped.
Under wraps.
This thing is zippered up and buttoned up tight. Well, you go there, check out. We got a lot of content on Top Fan. Just search Mark Schlereth on Top Fan and doing a bunch of film breakdowns and things of that nature. And again, please, like our subscriptions, they're just kind of staying flat. Let's go, people. Let's pick it up. I need your help.
Right here.
Right there. Look at that.
Look at that.
That thing is. Can you imagine how many like chicken wings we could sell or whatever we paste up there?
You could make it like a NASCAR car. You could put multiple ones up here.
It's a great call. All right. For everybody involved in the Sync Truth podcast, for Mike, I am Mark. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Please share it, subscribe, do all those things, and we will be back with you early next week.